Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the canyon. Welcome back to what is far and away the least watched feature of the canyon. And that is, of course, and we'll see if the microphones are doing the stereo thing today, Wheelin Wednesday. I love a Wheelin Wednesday, and a couple of you do, and thank you for that. The Wheels chose to not let me sit down, and I'm okay with that. I love Deadline as a feature, whether it's forward or reverse, and especially fortuitous today as before I spun the wheels to come out, oh, this hand's worse. Before I spun the wheels to come out here, yes, I know, and someone has mentioned it in the comments or through Instagram or somewhere, not the guy behind the whole process, but someone said, what happened to, it came from the workbench 20, you know, Steve. Well, all Steve really needs is final tune and paint. And it's the paint. I'm still sitting back thinking about the paint. So I'm probably overthinking the paint, but here we are. So the gray fingers of this morning are, I am working on Blue Sky High. Because Blue Sky High is unique in Canyon membership in that I can't even, okay, MST CFXW, the portal version, he started off on the OE rails, and he was one of the first set of LCG rails that I built. So I made a ton of mistakes, like a metric ton of mistakes. There we go. And almost immediately moved to revision 2 of those rails. So that was his second version. And then he went to a third version, and I want to say a fourth version of still the MST gearbox. And then when he got the Stealth XF, the Motorford XF that is in him now, he didn't get a new chassis, because at the time I didn't have the aluminum to make that possible. So he has bolt-on crazy looking towers on just stock element rails, which is why his body sits almost kind of ridiculously high. That's not the line I want. A little more. There we go. So yeah, I mean, look at the distance between the front bumper and the grille, both lengthwise and just how far down. Of course, I'm doing hand gestures behind the camera that no one can see. How low the bumper is dropped below the front grille. So he is still very much sky high. You can see that weird little tower there. So I thought it was time that we make revision REV question mark about for this guy. He is, of course, running just a flashed AM32, and here's where there might be a small problem. He's running that flashed AM32 with a 3542 1400 kV. And you see some of those moments where we approach stall. I believe that right there, that hesitation, I believe we are getting to the limits of what that speed control can provide. So I think this guy is essentially underpowered. Like, his power plant is too small for what he is and what he does. But at the same time, this way. Nope. My brain does not think in four-wheel steer. He's got this low speed that unless we get bound up, he's gonna punch through. So he's getting new chassis rails basically just to go with everything else that he's got now. So no more bolt-on towers, no more C-channels. Because I think if there's a guy that's earned it, it's this guy. Yeah, I've never had a single issue with his MST axles. And I did love that the CFXW came effectively ready built for four-wheel steer. For those unfamiliar, and I'm pretty sure it's completely discontinued, like you can't get it on A-Main. I don't know if you can get it at all. The CFXW just comes equipped with two front axles, like with the knuckles and the universals and everything. They're just two little nubby, maybe like 25 millimeter long links that attach the knuckles to the back axle. So you could actually replace those with turnbuckles and change your toe. But I thought, well, let's just four-wheel steer it. The gnats. Let me tell you about the gnats. And he's a guy that looks wide, but drives real skinny. And while driving skinny, looks crazy tall, because we are effectively running a fendered body with ruptures, but the body is mounted real high, and there's no saying that on his next chassis iteration, the body won't sit even higher. Like, I think I'm right at sort of the rub limit now. Oh, but like effortless through there. He truly is a joy to drive. So I'm literally cutting on the, okay, this is gonna be a little iffy here. I'm literally cutting on the bandsaw. Well, actually, I was carrying the bandsaw outside to blow all the aluminum chips out of it, which is something I have not done in a great long time, and there was a lot. Usually I just hit it with the vacuum, but it was full. Many a chassis have run through that. Old Delta bandsaw that's an odd size. It uses something like a 59.5-inch blade, which is a really weird blade length, not commonly available. I either have to get them from McMaster, or there's a couple places I go on Amazon to get metal cutting blades. It is not a metal cutting bandsaw, but I don't treat aluminum like a metal anyway. Aluminum is like I wanted to say a harder wood, but it really isn't. There are a number of woods out there that are harder on the equipment than aluminum is. And aluminum has the added fun style bonus of being like sticky. Like the pieces gum up the blades. So that's usually why I have to end up replacing the blades. So I'm doing a long overdue maintenance on the bandsaw so that I can finish. That was like a clencher. That was a clench moment right there. So that I can finish cutting out his rails. And I was like, well, I haven't moved the saw back into place, so let's spin the wheels. Like today's high is not supposed to be that hot. Like, it's gonna be a weird day here in Canyonland, where the temperature at 9 a.m. and the temperature at 4 p.m. are gonna be like the same, which is that's not a thing that we do. These are, of course, for those not familiar, these are ruptures on the Canyon Customs Minion inserts, which are Tim 10 blue inner, then yellow fridge liner, yellow fridge liner, and then outside of that is a vintage, super soft, like it feels like a memory foam pillow, buggy inserts from OFNA from, has to be 20 years ago. I got them in a clearance bin like 20 years ago, and they just hung on a peg in the shop for all of those years. And then I was like, and I had never even popped the staples to look inside the packaging to see what were we working with. And when I pulled them out, I'm like, oh my God, these are some of the softest inserts I've ever felt. How would these be useful in an 8th scale buggy? But they proved to be absolutely worthwhile for this, as they really follow the rupture is a tire with a very rounded, you can see that very rounded contour. They're one of the more donutty of the tires that we run. There's no squared shoulder, there's no squared anything. There we go. And it's fortunate that when this guy did his XF swap to get rid of the weird motor forward gearbox and picked up that 18% rear underdrive from the XF kit, when he picked that up, he doesn't need four-wheel steer as much as he used to. The turning, the angle, the available turn angle on the CFXW axles is not tremendous. It's like someone reverse engineered an AR-44 and made a portal out of it. So they took away a lot of the, like that's max steering angle. I don't think it's 40 degrees. But, you know, dragging that anchor of a tail now, he's a lot more capable. Like, you just put in like that much in there or that much in there, and you can really position him a lot better than you ever could before, or than we ever could before. So as I'm gray from aluminum, and Wheelin Wednesday picked the wheels, the wheels of infinite knowledge, picked Blue Sky High, I thought, oh man, we could do a real back-to-back sort of affair here, where we cross the deadline, and then I take him back inside, I finish up the fabrication. It's not going to be super complex because he's already pretty much laid out, and the chassis that I'm adapting to him has most of the work already done. Like, you know, I don't have to guess geometries and stuff. There'll be a couple link changes, but I mean, other than that, it's mostly a bolt-on. So I thought, oh, we can run it and then take him in, convert him over to revision ? Of his chassis, and then run it again. And then the spectral voice of my wife echoed in my ears, and she was like, that sounds like 2 videos to me. And she's absolutely right. She is absolutely and unequivocally right. And the problem is, and I'm sure that there are some gentlemen out there who can relate, she has this infuriating capacity to be right, like all the time. Like, I will fight it. No. And then in the end, you're like, damn it. That's pretty much married life. Like, she's wrong so infrequently that, like, it's like, what's the point, you know? Like, you could fight it and be like, I'm gonna win this one. Man, you never win that one. Oh, I missed a big old chunk of web. Oh yeah, the torch went over this just a few minutes ago. And I thought I got them all. I am wondering, I'm seeing it. I don't know if you're seeing it, but I'm seeing it. Okay. So I can get, there we go. Yeah, it's all, this has to be a collaboration of parts. I don't know if we can chalk this entirely up to ruptures, but the ruptures really do. The way that those inserts deform, it really helps this guy pull up over stuff that ordinarily you'd feel like, oh, we're just gonna bash face. And there is a small possibility, a very small possibility that the Canyon will witness a bumper swap. Like, if the chassis that I'm working on, no, that could be bad. That could be bad. If this chassis doesn't cooperate, if the new chassis does not cooperate with this bumper, that's like my favorite bumper that I've ever made. And I'm sure I can move it to someone else and then make him a new bumper. But if the bumper works, then the bumper stays. I was also debating messing with his shock layout. I can't see his rear axle. We're gonna like rip a mirror off. Maybe if we do this way, if we crab. I mean, who else is getting through that way? I don't know if anybody is. And I do not want to mess with his shocks because they are doing it. So honestly, I mean, we're to here, and it's far too early to make any sort of announcement to be like, oh yeah, man, it killed that, because guys have made it this far and then rolled off onto the ground. So He is the correct width. These are the right wheels. These are the right shock. Oh, look at him. What a beastie boy. And then now we can say the say, because most folks don't get to hear. Let's see if we can get without I'm gonna pretend. Didn't even roll it out on the exit. So yeah, boy, Blue Sky High will indeed be back here in a couple of days. Not deliberately interrupting it came from the workbenches that are already in process, because like he's done-ish. He's just, doing more work. Like he hasn't even achieved his final form, I guess, is where we're trying to go. So in between now and when we meet again, I will have to go through my own content, because I want to say it came from the workbench 2 or he's 7. I don't remember. And he will get yet another installment in his workbench series in a couple days, maybe on the weekend. That's me in 4-wheel steer. I tried to use an absolute minimum of 4-wheel steer on that very successful pass, and for good reason. I mean, I put him off onto the ground. Woo. Just want to see if we can pass out of frame over here. So thank you, kind few, for dropping by on a Wednesday to bear witness to yet another, and we go the opposite way now. Wheelin Wednesday. It's a great time. It really is. And it dovetails in nicely to upcoming content, which is great. It's a pretty brisk one, but this is what makes a Wednesday. Oh, look at him. Oh, he's so planted. He's so great. And I don't think that the chassis change is going to damage anything of that, relative to that handling. So we hope only for the best. And for you all, one and all, I hope for the very best. Do your very best. Have a good one in between now and when we meet again. I do ask you to comment below if you have anything to say, or if you just want to pop in and be like, hey man, how's it going? Likes are free. Subscriptions are free as well. Something about engagement, how the algorithm works, I don't know. I don't understand any of it. Do consider channel membership. It helps the channel grow. If you are already a channel member, thank you so very much. Your kindness and generosity contribute to every build of the canyon, whether you know it or not, as well as the construction of the canyon. So thank you all so very much. It is super humid and super natty, so we've had enough. I'm gonna shoot a thumbnail. I'm gonna go and wait for FedEx, and man, if you have any experience with FedEx, you know how those gentlemen work. They said scheduled delivery between 11:30 and 2:30. I will sit in the front of my house for those 3 hours, and they will come at 2:29 or whenever I have to go to the bathroom. That's how they work. I'm not kidding. Like, they have a sensor. They know. I'll see you next time, everybody.